What if I told you that within your most intimate moments lies a doorway to the divine, a portal so powerful, so transformative, that entire spiritual traditions have been built around understanding its mysteries? For thousands of years, ancient wisdom keepers have known something that modern society has forgotten. They understood that pleasure isn't just a physical sensation. It's a sacred gateway to expanded consciousness, to touching the very essence of creation itself. But here's what they don't want you to know. This portal has been deliberately hidden from you. Shame, guilt, and spiritual bypassing have created barriers around one of humanity's most profound spiritual practices. Tonight, we're going to tear down those barriers. You see, every time you experience deep pleasure, you're not just having a physical experience. You're actually accessing what mystics call the gateway of bliss, a doorway that can lead to profound spiritual awakening, healing, and connection to the divine feminine and masculine energies within you. The ancient tantric masters knew this. The Taoist sages understood this. Indigenous shamans worldwide have practiced this for millennia. Yet somehow, in our modern spiritual communities, we've been taught to separate our spirituality from our sexuality, our souls from our bodies. But what if this separation is the very thing keeping you from your highest spiritual potential? In the next 25 minutes, I'm going to share with you 5 transformative insights that will completely change how you understand the relationship between pleasure and spiritual awakening. We'll explore how your body truly is a temple, how to recognize the sacred signs when this portal opens, and most importantly, how to consciously work with these energies for profound spiritual transformation. If this resonates with you, I invite you to hit that like button now, because what we're about to explore together could be the missing piece in your spiritual journey. And please, subscribe and ring that notification bell, because this is exactly the kind of authentic spiritual wisdom that gets buried by algorithms. Are you ready to reclaim one of humanity's most sacred practices? Let's begin. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine walking into the most beautiful cathedral you've ever seen. The light streams through stained glass windows, creating patterns of divine beauty. Every stone, every arch, every detail has been crafted with reverence and sacred intention. Now, I want you to understand something profound. Your body is that cathedral. Your body is that sacred temple. But here's where most spiritual teachings get it wrong. They tell you that the body is somehow separate from the divine, that you need to transcend it, rise above it, or control it to reach higher consciousness. This is one of the greatest spiritual misconceptions of our time. The truth is, your body isn't just housing your soul. Your body is a direct expression of divine consciousness, and within this sacred temple lies something extraordinary: pleasure pathways that act as portals to expanded awareness. Think about it this way. When you enter that beautiful cathedral, there are certain doorways that lead to different chambers, different experiences of the sacred. Your body has these doorways too. And pleasure, conscious, aware pleasure, is one of the most powerful portals you possess. Ancient tantric traditions understood this so deeply that they created entire spiritual systems around it. They knew that when you experience deep pleasure with complete awareness and reverence, something magical happens. Your consciousness expands, your energy field opens. You literally touch the divine. But let me be very clear about something. This isn't about hedonistic pleasure-seeking or losing yourself in sensation. This is about sacred pleasure, pleasure experienced with presence, intention, and spiritual awareness. When you approach your body as a temple and pleasure as a portal, everything changes. Suddenly, intimacy becomes a spiritual practice. Physical sensation becomes a pathway to transcendence. Your most private moments become opportunities for divine communion. The ancient Taoists called this dual cultivation, the practice of using intimate energy to cultivate spiritual advancement. The Tantric masters spoke of Maithuna, sacred union that dissolves the illusion of separation between self and divine. These weren't just esoteric concepts. These were practical, transformational spiritual technologies. So why has this wisdom been hidden from us? Because when you truly understand the sacred power of your own body, when you reclaim your right to conscious pleasure as a spiritual practice, you become spiritually sovereign. You no longer need external authorities to validate your connection to the divine. This is why pleasure has been wrapped in shame and guilt across so many cultures. This is why spirituality and sexuality have been artificially separated. Because your pleasure portal is one of your most direct lines to divine consciousness, and that makes you powerful. Are you beginning to see the profound implications here? When you honor your body as a temple and approach pleasure as a sacred portal, you're not just having a physical experience. You're engaging in one of humanity's oldest and most powerful forms of spiritual practice. Now that you understand your body as a temple and pleasure as a portal, let's talk about something crucial. How do you actually recognize when this portal is opening? Most people experience pleasure unconsciously. They're lost in the sensation, completely unaware of the profound spiritual shifts happening within their energy field. But when you know what to look for, when you develop the sensitivity to recognize these sacred signs, everything changes. The first sign is what I call the temporal shift. Time begins to behave differently. You might notice that minutes feel like hours, or hours feel like moments. This isn't just your imagination. This is your consciousness shifting into what mystics call sacred time. Your brainwaves are literally changing, moving from ordinary beta consciousness into deeper theta and even delta states typically associated with deep meditation. The second sign is energetic expansion. You'll begin to feel your energy field extending beyond the boundaries of your physical body. Some people describe this as feeling bigger, more expansive, as if their consciousness is literally growing. Ancient texts describe this as the awakening of your light body, your energetic double that extends far beyond your physical form. Pay attention to your breathing patterns. As the portal begins to open, your breathing naturally deepens and becomes more rhythmic. This isn't just arousal. This is pranayama, the sacred breathwork that yogis use to access expanded states of consciousness. Your body is automatically doing what spiritual practitioners spend years learning to master. Here's something fascinating. You might start to experience synesthesia-like phenomena. Colors might seem more vivid. Sounds might create visual patterns. Touch might generate waves of light or energy throughout your body. This is your consciousness temporarily accessing what shamans call non-ordinary reality, dimensions of experience usually hidden from everyday awareness. Another profound sign is the dissolution of the ego boundary. You might notice that the sense of I begins to fade, replaced by a feeling of unity, oneness, or cosmic connection. Tantric texts describe this as the moment when Shiva and Shakti, consciousness and energy, merge into non-dual awareness. Watch for what I call cellular awakening. Every cell in your body might feel alive, electric, vibrating with life force. This is your Kundalini energy, your spiritual life force, beginning to move through your system. You're literally experiencing the same energy that mystics spend decades trying to awaken through meditation and yoga practices. Some people experience visions or receive profound insights during these moments. This isn't coincidence. This is divine consciousness communicating directly through your expanded awareness. The ancient Greeks called this hierophany, a revelation of the sacred through direct experience. You might also notice tears of bliss or overwhelming gratitude. This is your heart chakra opening to receive and express divine love. These aren't emotional tears. These are sacred waters, the physical expression of your soul recognizing its connection to the infinite. The key is presence. The more present and aware you become during these experiences, the more you'll recognize these sacred signs. And the more you recognize them, the more consciously you can work with them for spiritual transformation. Remember, these signs aren't just interesting phenomena. They're indicators that you're accessing the same states of consciousness that saints, sages, and mystics throughout history have sought through years of spiritual practice. Now we arrive at perhaps the most transformative section of our journey together. This is where ancient wisdom becomes practical application. This is where you learn to consciously navigate the portal when it fully opens. The moment of climax isn't just a physical peak. It's what tantric masters call the little death, a temporary dissolution of ordinary consciousness that mirrors the ultimate spiritual goal of ego transcendence. But here's the crucial difference. Most people completely lose awareness during this sacred moment. They miss the entire spiritual opportunity. What I'm about to share with you are practices refined over thousands of years, techniques that allow you to maintain conscious awareness even as your consciousness expands beyond ordinary boundaries. The first practice is witness consciousness breathing. As you approach climax, instead of holding your breath or breathing frantically, you're going to breathe like a mountain, steady, deep, and unmoved by the storm of sensation. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 6. This specific rhythm keeps your prefrontal cortex online while your body experiences transcendence. Here's something profound. Instead of trying to reach climax, practice what I call riding the edge. Ancient Taoists called this valley orgasm, staying in the peak energy without the explosive release. You're surfing the wave rather than being crashed by it. This allows you to maintain awareness while experiencing prolonged states of expanded consciousness. The second technique is energy circulation. As sensation builds in your body, consciously guide that energy upward through your spine using your breath and intention. Breathe the energy from your root chakra up through your heart, into your throat, and finally to the crown of your head. This is the same Kundalini pathway that yogis spend decades learning to activate. Practice what the ancient texts call the inner smile. Even as sensation intensifies, maintain a gentle inner smile, not on your face, but in your consciousness. This keeps you in a state of loving presence rather than being swept away by intensity. You remain the observer of the experience rather than being completely consumed by it. Use sacred sound. The ancient Om mantra isn't just for meditation. It's a vibrational key that can keep you anchored in expanded consciousness. As you breathe, let soft sounds emerge naturally. These aren't just expressions of pleasure. They're mantras that harmonize your entire energy system. Here's an advanced practice called consciousness expansion. Instead of focusing all your awareness on physical sensation, expand your consciousness to fill the entire room, then the building, then beyond. Imagine your awareness expanding like ripples on a pond. This practice can create experiences of cosmic consciousness that mystics describe as unity with the divine. Practice sacred witnessing. Part of your consciousness remains the observer, watching everything unfold with loving detachment. You're simultaneously experiencing and witnessing the experience. This is the same state that meditation masters cultivate, being fully present while maintaining objective awareness. The moment of climax itself becomes a practice of conscious surrender. Instead of grasping or trying to control the experience, you consciously release into it while maintaining awareness. Think of it like skydiving. You're in free fall, but you remain aware and present throughout the entire experience. After the peak, practice integration breathing. Don't immediately return to ordinary consciousness. Instead, breathe slowly and deeply for several minutes, allowing the expanded awareness to integrate into your system. This is when the real transformation happens, when expanded consciousness becomes part of your ordinary awareness. Remember, these aren't just techniques, they're sacred technologies for consciousness expansion. Each time you practice them, you're literally rewiring your nervous system to access higher states of awareness more easily. The goal isn't to master these practices immediately. The goal is to begin approaching your most intimate moments as opportunities for spiritual practice, for divine communion, for conscious evolution. What happens after the portal fully opens is just as important as the opening itself. Most people roll over and go to sleep, completely missing the profound integration phase where lasting transformation actually occurs. What you're about to learn will change how you understand the sacred aftermath of conscious pleasure. The first thing to recognize is that you've just experienced what neuroscientists call a neurochemical cascade, a flood of oxytocin, dopamine, endorphins, and other bliss molecules that naturally create expanded states of consciousness. But more than that, you've activated what ancient traditions call your light body. Your energetic field has literally expanded and become more coherent. Pay attention to what I call the golden glow period, usually lasting 15 to 45 minutes after climax. During this time, your brain is in a unique state. Your default mode network, the part of your brain responsible for ego-based thinking, is temporarily quieted. This is the same brain state that meditation masters spend years trying to achieve. Notice the quality of your thoughts during this period. They're often more intuitive, more loving, more connected to universal wisdom. This isn't coincidence. You're literally accessing higher mind. Many people receive profound insights, creative inspiration, or spiritual guidance during this expanded state. Your energy field is now more permeable and expansive. Some people can actually feel their aura extending several feet beyond their physical body. This is when energy healing is most powerful, when manifestation is most effective, when spiritual practice is most profound. Practice what I call conscious integration. Instead of immediately returning to ordinary activities, spend time in sacred silence. Let your consciousness slowly return to normal awareness while maintaining connection to the expanded state you just experienced. This is how temporary peak experiences become permanent spiritual growth. Watch for spontaneous heart opening. Many people experience waves of unconditional love, not just for their partner, but for all of existence. This is your heart chakra in its fully opened state. The ancient Sufis called this fana, the dissolution of the separate self into divine love. You might notice heightened psychic sensitivity during this period. Colors seem more vivid, sounds more musical, touch more electric. This is your nervous system temporarily operating at a higher frequency. Your subtle senses are online in ways they usually aren't during ordinary consciousness. Some people experience what I call cellular gratitude. Every cell in your body feels thankful, blessed, connected to the source of all life. This is your physical body recognizing its divine nature. Ancient texts describe this as the moment when matter remembers it is spirit. Pay attention to synchronicities and meaningful coincidences in the hours and days following these experiences. When you've touched expanded consciousness, you often attract experiences that reflect that higher frequency. The universe literally responds to your elevated state. Practice energy anchoring. Choose a physical sensation, a word, or an image from your expanded experience and consciously anchor it in your memory. This creates what neuroscientists call a state-dependent memory, a doorway back to expanded consciousness that you can access during meditation or stressful moments. Here's something profound. The energy expansion doesn't end when the physical sensations fade. If you remain conscious and practice integration, this expanded state can become your new baseline. Each conscious experience builds upon the last, gradually expanding your normal range of awareness. Many traditions speak of afterglow meditation. Use this naturally expanded state to drop into deep meditation more easily than usual. Your consciousness is already open, receptive, connected. This is the perfect time for spiritual practice, prayer, or manifestation work. The key is recognizing that you haven't just had a physical experience, you've touched the divine, and that divine connection doesn't disappear when the physical sensations end. It integrates into who you are, expanding your capacity for love, presence, and spiritual awareness in your daily life. This is why conscious pleasure practice isn't just about better intimate experiences, it's about accelerated spiritual evolution. This final chapter addresses perhaps the most important distinction you need to understand: the difference between ordinary physical pleasure and transcendent spiritual ecstasy. This understanding will transform not only your intimate experiences, but your entire relationship with consciousness itself. Most people live their entire lives experiencing only what I call surface pleasure, sensation without awareness, physical gratification without spiritual connection. It's like living in a mansion, but only ever using the front hallway. You're missing the vast cathedral of consciousness that lies within every moment of conscious pleasure. Physical pleasure operates through the nervous system and focuses on sensation, release, and temporary gratification. It's centered in the body and dissolves when the physical stimulation ends. There's nothing wrong with this level of experience. It's natural and healthy, but it's only the beginning of what's possible. Spiritual ecstasy, on the other hand, uses physical sensation as a doorway into expanded consciousness. It engages not just your body, but your energy field, your heart, your spirit, and your connection to the divine. Instead of ending with physical climax, it opens into states of consciousness that can last for hours, days, or even permanently shift your baseline awareness. Here's the crucial difference. Physical pleasure says more, faster, harder. It seeks intensity through stimulation. Spiritual ecstasy says deeper, slower, more present. It seeks transcendence through consciousness expansion. Physical pleasure is goal-oriented, focused on reaching climax. Spiritual ecstasy is journey-oriented, finding the divine in every moment of the experience. It's the difference between rushing to a destination versus savoring every step of a sacred pilgrimage. In physical pleasure, you lose yourself in sensation. Consciousness becomes narrower, more focused, more identified with the body. In spiritual ecstasy, sensation expands consciousness. You don't lose yourself, you find your larger self, your connection to universal consciousness. Physical pleasure creates temporary happiness, followed by a return to baseline or even a crash. Spiritual ecstasy creates lasting transformation. Each experience builds upon the last, gradually expanding your capacity for bliss, love, and spiritual awareness in your daily life. Here's something profound. The same physical act can be either surface pleasure or spiritual ecstasy, depending entirely on your level of consciousness and intention. It's not what you do. It's how present, aware, and spiritually connected you are while doing it. Ancient tantric texts describe this distinction as the difference between worldly bhoga and spiritual bhoga, worldly enjoyment versus divine enjoyment. Both use the same physical processes, but they lead to completely different outcomes for your consciousness and spiritual evolution. Physical pleasure engages primarily the lower chakras, the root, sacral, and solar plexus. These are important energy centers, but they're focused on personal gratification, power, and individual identity. Spiritual ecstasy opens all the chakras simultaneously, creating what mystics call full-spectrum consciousness. When your heart chakra is engaged, pleasure becomes love. When your throat chakra opens, pleasure becomes sacred sound and authentic expression. When your third eye activates, pleasure becomes divine vision and expanded perception. When your crown chakra opens, pleasure becomes unity consciousness, direct experience of your oneness with all existence. The integration is different too. Physical pleasure provides temporary relief or gratification, but often leaves you wanting more. Spiritual ecstasy provides lasting fulfillment because it connects you to the infinite source of bliss within your own consciousness. This is why conscious pleasure practice is so transformative. You're not just improving your intimate life, you're accelerating your spiritual evolution. Each conscious experience literally rewires your nervous system to access higher states of awareness more easily. But here's what's beautiful. You don't have to choose between physical pleasure and spiritual ecstasy. When approached consciously, physical pleasure becomes the vehicle for spiritual transcendence. Your body becomes the launchpad for consciousness expansion. Matter and spirit unite in the direct experience of divine bliss. This is the secret that mystery schools have guarded for thousands of years. This is the wisdom that transforms ordinary humans into conscious beings capable of living in permanent connection to the divine. The portal has always been there. Now you know how to consciously walk through it. We've journeyed together through profound territory tonight. We've explored how your body truly is a sacred temple, how to recognize when the portal of consciousness opens, how to maintain awareness during transcendent experiences, how to integrate expanded states, and most importantly, how to distinguish between surface pleasure and spiritual ecstasy. But knowledge without practice is merely philosophy. Transformation comes through conscious application of these sacred principles. Here are your practical next steps. First, begin treating your body with the reverence it deserves. Create sacred space for intimate experiences. Light candles, burn incense, set intentions. Transform your bedroom into a temple of consciousness. This isn't just romantic, it's spiritual preparation. Second, practice presence in everyday pleasure. Whether you're eating chocolate, feeling warm sunlight on your skin, or enjoying any pleasurable sensation, practice being fully present with it. Use these moments as training for deeper conscious pleasure practice. Third, develop your witness consciousness through meditation. The more you can observe your thoughts and sensations without being completely identified with them, the more you'll be able to maintain awareness during peak experiences. Fourth, work with breathwork and energy circulation. Practice the techniques we discussed during your meditation sessions so they become natural during intimate moments. Most importantly, remember that this is a sacred practice, not a performance technique. Approach it with reverence, patience, and love for yourself and any partner you share this journey with. The portal of consciousness through pleasure is one of humanity's most direct pathways to the divine. You don't need years of meditation training. You don't need to retreat to a monastery. The doorway to transcendent consciousness lies within your own sacred temple. Every time you approach pleasure with consciousness, presence, and spiritual intention, you're not just having a personal experience. You're participating in the evolution of human consciousness itself. This wisdom has been hidden for too long. It's time to reclaim your birthright as a spiritual sexual being capable of touching the divine through conscious pleasure. If this video has opened doorways of understanding for you, please share it with others who are ready for this level of spiritual truth. Like this video if it resonated with your soul. Subscribe for more authentic spiritual wisdom that bridges ancient teachings with practical transformation. And most importantly, begin practicing. Your spiritual evolution is waiting for you on the other side of conscious pleasure. The portal is open. The choice is yours.